Cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of
G'day and welcome back to the channel, Ginger Ninja's Movie Reviews. I am the Ginger Ninja and these are my movie reviews. Now if you're new to my channel, thank you very much for tuning in, stopping by and checking it out. You're probably wondering what it is that I'm doing here and who this fella is behind me. Well, if you're a horror movie fan, you know who it is, but we are looking at the Hellraiser films for part of Franchise Friday. So every Friday I'm looking at a different film in that series of movies. And we're doing Hellraiser, and we're up to Hellraiser Hellworld, which came out in 2005. But before we do get into that, I do want to say a big thank you to all my new and existing subscribers. It truly means well to me, week in, week out. I'm dribbling on about these films, and, you know, let's just say I appreciate it. So thank you. Now, back to what we're here for. Look, Hellraiser Hellworld came out in 2005. It was directed again by Rick Bota, and I believe this is his last directorial feature for the Hellraiser films. I may be wrong. I haven't looked at the next one yet. Still processing this one. So yeah. Anyway, this film has a stacked cast. Okay, an absolute powerhouse to be cast. I don't know what we're missing from this film. But anyway, we'll get to that in a moment. The film stars Kathrynwinnick, who would later go on to star in the hit show Vikings, Christopherjacot, Alison Tolport. I don't know where they've been from, and yeah, I don't know if they've been in much since. But we've got kharypayton, Kingezekiel from The Walking Dead. Walking Dead being one of my all-time favourite shows. It was a treat to see him in this. Lancehenriksen, yeah. Like, what's not to like about Lancehenriksen? He's been in so much and he's always on point. A young Henrycavill, future Superman, future Geralt of Rivia or whatever it is in The Witcher. And of course, dougbradley, as always, Pinhead. Well, not as always, because apparently it's a different Pinhead in this is his last one, I believe. But anyway, there's Pinhead there. And there as well. He kind of looks a little pissed off, doesn't he? Well, he's got good reason. Anyway, let's get into this and the plot. Now, this is direct from IMDb. Gamers playing an MMORPG based on the Hellraiser films find their lives endangered after being invited to a rave, the host of which intends to show them the truth behind the cenobite mythos. Yeah, not quite, but you know, it's IMDb, so what do you expect? Anyway, there is actually a bit more to it than that. The story revolves around a group of friends who are avid players of an online game called Hellworld, which is based on the Hellraiser mythology. But after one of their friends, Adam, dies under mysterious circumstances, the group receives invitations to a Hellworld-themed party at a mansion out somewhere in the boonies. And they decide to go, as you do, you know, and that's where things start to get a little weird. There's a lot of, well, to start with, this is another Hellraiser where the script was adapted into a Hellraiser movie, and this one is painfully clear as you watch it that this is not a true Hellraiser film. Other films have somewhat attempted to blend the characters from the Hellraiser world into the new movies, but this one, it just forces them in with no consideration to the history of the characters. But I will say there is a good reason for that. And in the overall story, it does make a little bit of sense, but it doesn't make it good, unfortunately. Now, with the tagline, like Evil Goes Online, I expected something a little bit different. Like they would be dragged into a now electronic hell dimension like we see in the second film. You know, I can just picture like their CRT monitors of the early 2000s, the chains popping out of them and dragging them into, this new hellscape, this online hellscape. And that's what I expected with something like Evil Goes Online. This is not the case with this. So I was surprised, to say the least. But you know what? Let's have a look into this and see how it stacks up against previous Hellraiser films. Okay, now normally with the cast, I would leave Doug Bradley till last, but I'm going to get him out of the way first. As Pinhead, he remains a standout performer. He delivers his lines with his characteristic coldness and menace that has defined his character since its inception in the original film. He has defined Pinhead as what it is today. There have been other actors who have portrayed the role, and that's not to diminish their interpretation of the character, but Doug Bradley is the top tier Pinhead. Now, his screen presence does at times feel more substantial in this than it had been in previous films, and it is impactful. But in this film, he is a mixture of Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. Yeah, he is not the Pinhead we know. He is supposed to be this enigmatic character who delivers people to hell for pleasure and pain and whatnot, not a stereotypical slasher. So, that being said, it actually does work, and he does it well for this movie. Kathrynwinnick, who would go on, like I said, to star in Vikings, serves as the film's main protagonist, and her performance is rather engaging. It does showcase a bit of a blend of vulnerability and resilience as she navigates the horrors of Hellworld. Henry Cavill, very early career role for him as Mike, brings a charismatic and somewhat reckless energy to his character, providing a glimpse of the star power he would later harness in his career. Kharypayton, like I said, huge fan of The Walking Dead and huge fan of his portrayal of Kingezekiel. He brings a geeky and youthful exuberance to his role, and he seems to be having a lot of fun in it. Lancehenriksen. It's Lance Henriksen, what can you say? Like, his portrayal of the host is a highlight to the film. He provides a compelling antagonist whose motivations unfold in a very suspenseful manner. His interactions with the young cast adds a layer of mystery and tension to the narrative. The only member of the cast that really failed to deliver on their performance was Anna Talbot. Talbot, I think that's how you pronounce it. Her character just came off as childish and annoying, and just didn't win me over with her performance at all. Especially when you put that next to the caliber of actors that I just went through, it's going to be tough. But yeah, didn't sell for me. Okay, so now onto the directing and the writing. And look, the concept of an online game leading to real-world horror is intriguing and is very reflective of early 2000s concerns about technology's impact on our lives. And the idea of integrating online gaming with Hellraiser's dark themes is quite refreshing. Its attempt to bring a modern twist to the franchise and make it more relatable to modern audiences is commendable. However, this is shoehorned into an existing script that it had a story that if that story had been expanded on its own and developed further, I believe would have stood on its own. There was a really interesting story without the Hellraiser concept in there by itself. And I mean, this unfortunately leaves the Hellraiser aspects disconnected from its original lore and turns the Cenobites into, like I mentioned, nothing more than teen slashers, which is not what they are. The characters themselves, they're good actors, but the characters are pretty much one-dimensional, and that's the way they're written. So it's really hard to get emotionally involved in their fates. I've mentioned that with other characters in this. And the reason for that is they often fall into very stereotypical horror movie tropes. You know, that's why we watch these films though, isn't it? We get used to them. It's that comfort level. We know what to expect from these characters. The pacing, I don't know. The pacing on this one felt off to me. It was very haphazard in a way that it was slow and uneven. In some scenes was dragging unnecessarily, and others they rushed through key plot points. And that kind of broke up the tension and left it feeling interrupted. And this caused a bit of a fragmented viewing experience for me. And you know what? I'm not even going to start on the predictability of the plot. Like you guessed what was happening from the start. And that ending, okay, so the ending, and spoilers ahead, whatever. You're forcing Hellraiser into a scene at the end where he's forcing Pinhead into a scene, I should say, into a scene which shows him as Pinhead should be. And that is the only time in the entire frickin' movie we actually see Pinhead as he is, not as this slasher. And like I said, I enjoyed that part of it, but that was not Pinhead. Right at the end we see Pinhead, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a ghost in the car. Why? Now onto the effects. And look, early 2000s CGI. What can I say about it? It's never good. Not compared to what we have today, obviously. But look, the use of the CGI in some scenes looks really cheesy. And I don't mean that in a good way. They just look very dated and do not hold up. There are some practical effects for the gore, and the makeup effects are commendable. The Cenobites' appearances in this one are suitably grotesque and imaginative. They do look good. Chatterer looks good. Bound looks fantastic. Pinhead looks like Pinhead. There's a scene where there's decapitations, there's guts. They all look good. I will say this, and again, spoilers. Mike, when he is semi-transformed into a cenobite, it looks good. Apart from that fake white contact lens, that's about it. But they are good, and they maintain the franchise's tradition of inventive and macabre creature designs. There are, like I said, inventive and gruesome death scenes, which fans might appreciate, especially if you're fans of the series. But that's about all it's got going for it. Now on to rewatchability. And look, I do like what they tried to do here. This does have a fantastic cast, but the film is just very poorly paced and feels stitched together. It just doesn't feel like a Hellraiser film should. Will I watch this again? Maybe. But honestly, the only reason I can see myself going back to watch it is for the cast. So, final thoughts on Hellraiser Hellworld. And look, this is an interesting attempt to rejuvenate the Hellraiser franchise with a modern twist. It doesn't quite capture some of the dark magic that the original films had, but it has its moments of creepy fun. However, if you're a die-hard fan of the original Hellraiser films, you might find it lacking in depth and complexity that made the series iconic. It doesn't even have the MTV fun factor that Hellraiser 3 had. It doesn't have the gothic intensity of Hellraiser 1 and 2. It doesn't even have that detective-esque neo-noir style of Hellraiser Inferno, but it is a step up from Hellraiser Hellseeker, but it's not quite as good as Hellraiser Dead. So it's really an in-between one. Is it better than Bloodlines though? Overall for a score, I would give Hellraiser Hellworld a 4.5 out of 10. There you have it. That's my review of Hellraiser Hellworld. We'll be back again next week with another Hellraiser film. I believe there are 2 more left in the series. I think I've got Revelations and Judgment to go. So we're almost to the end. So yeah, I will pop a poll up on my community page to vote for the next franchise that I look at. Now, obviously, we're coming up to August, and I will be doing, Argento August. So this may be pushed back until next month, which will be September. But Franchise Friday will be back if I don't keep on with it in August, just so I can do August Argento August. So really looking forward to that too. That's going to be a lot of fun. Like, I'm a huge fan of Argento, and I'm really looking forward to diving into some of his films, some of his biggest films that I haven't actually touched on my channel at all. So they are going to be a lot of fun to look at. Anyway, look, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to stop blathering on, but I do want to say thank you. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up, be much appreciated. And of course, if you've made it through me rambling on about this film, please do subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I do release a new review. I still have my 60-second reviews. They will still be happening all through August, don't you worry about that. But I also have my Trashy Tuesdays. Now, I probably will still be continuing them in August, and I'll stop the Franchise Friday because I just think that might tie up a little bit more evenly. I don't know yet. It could be the other way around. It could be Franchise Friday continues, Trashy Tuesday stops, but I don't know what I'm doing with the channel. It's all over the joint. It's just me talking about movies. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.